Hello, welcome to a short reflection for the 29th of November. We're nearly at the end of November, a whole month in the book of Proverbs, Wisdom for Life. So we're looking at chapter 29 today, this evening. And I actually want to take us to the last verse of chapter 28 because I think it continues a theme that emerges more strongly in chapter 29. So chapter 28 finished with, when the wicked rise to power, people go into hiding, but when the wicked perish, the righteous thrive. Kind of the rise in evil and people cower, evil wanes and people flourish. And you'll see in Proverbs 29, in verse 2, it says, when the righteous thrive, people rejoice. When the wicked rule, people groan. And we just look at what's happening in some nations in the world where evil rulers, dictators, despots, then the people fear and the people groan. But when the wise, the righteous, the right people, the good people thrive, then people rejoice, and the nation is a happier nation. We'll see a little bit in this chapter about the kings, the rulers, the rich, and how they oppress and how they treat the poor unfairly. So there's that theme that kind of weaves through Proverbs, how to govern well, how to lead well. It made me smile to myself a little bit when I read the first verse. Stiff-necked people, remaining resolute despite rebukes, are on a path to destruction, and there's no remedy for them. Just because I've had a bit of a stiff neck the last couple of days, partly a bit of a cold, a bit of a fever, I guess. So my neck's been feeling a bit stiff. So a reminder about stiff-necked people who won't take rebuke, who won't learn. They're on a path to destruction. A few other verses that just struck me about this chapter. Evildoers get trapped in their own schemes. The righteous shout for joy and are glad. Verse 6. So it's good to be righteous, good to be wise, good to be on the right path. If we end up on the wrong path and we're laying traps for other people, then we get caught in our own traps. A fair splattering throughout the whole of the book of Proverbs around the way we use our voices, of course, the words we choose. Flattering neighbours lay traps for their own feet. Fools let rage get the better of them. The wise bring calm in the end. Wisdom turns away anger, doesn't engage with anger. At verse 7, the righteous care about justice for the poor, but the wicked don't share that concern. And that's been a kind of drumbeat throughout this book, hasn't it? Wisdom looks like caring for the poor, hearing the cries of the needy and the poor. So then we get verses 13 and 14 that seem to be the crunch of this chapter for me. The poor and the oppressor have this in common. The Lord gives sight to the eyes of both. What do we see with the eyes God has given us? Can we see the plight of the poor? Do we see the work of the oppressor? Verse 14, if a king judges the poor with fairness, his throne will be established forever. So it's good for a king, for a ruler, for those in authority, for those in power, to be fair towards the poor. Their throne will be established forever. A little bit about discipline as well and correction. Discipline and correction imparts wisdom. Discipline your children and they'll give you peace and the delights you desire. Some of that feels counterintuitive, perhaps, or but actually disciplining or putting good boundaries, healthy boundaries around our young people, our children, so they will give you peace. You might think that's not going to happen. The more boundaries we put up, the more discipline laid down, the less peaceful life might be. But He will give you peace and the delights you desire. Verse 18, where there's no revelation, people cast off restraint, but blessed is the one who heeds wisdom's instructions. Those who speak in haste have less hope than a fool. Verse 20, quite like that verse. An angry, hot-tempered person stirs up conflict and therefore sin. Verse 22. Pride brings a person low, but the lowly in spirit gain honour. It's that kind of downward trajectory. Pride comes before a fall, but the lowly in spirit gain honour. They're on their way up. Fear of people will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. Not fearing people, not bowing to the pressures of peers or friends or the community or society. Whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. The Lord is our safe place, our saviour. And finally, verse 26 for today, many seek an audience with a ruler, but it is from the Lord that one gets justice. The Lord is the one who metes out justice. Verse 26. So another great chapter with plenty in there, particularly that middle section for me about the way to govern well, the way to influence well, is to have the eyes that God has given us to see the poor, to see the oppressor, to judge with fairness. We're heading towards the end of this chapter, dear friends. Tomorrow, the 30th of November, we will do 2 chapters, chapter 30 and chapter 31, bring to the end this month of Walking the Way of Wisdom. I'm here in a hotel room in Oxford where we've had stationing matching group 2, and I'm in the middle of new chairs training, so that's why the environment around is a little bit different. Thank you for prayers. It's been a good few days, and looking forward to getting on with Advent. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m, there's a half hour of Zoom prayer. If you want to join us and you don't have those Zoom details, do just get in touch. We'd love you to come and join us just for half an hour. A simple time of prayer together to start the day, our Zoom district midweek prayer. Otherwise, catch you in this space tomorrow looking at wisdom for life from Proverbs chapters 30 and 31. Take care. God bless you.